Okay, I have no doubt that within less than seconds, you saw these two sewing machines and said, whoa, 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 wait a second now. That is not Scott's workshop, and that is not either one of his workbenches. And you would be right. I decided that today, March 20th, 2019, to commemorate the supposed first day of spring, that I would introduce to you another passion of mine. Although unlike working on automobiles, as you saw in some of the recent videos, or as you've seen in hundreds of videos, me working with vintage sewing machines, and in both of those realms I feel like I'm very competent, this is more of an area of interest, and I would describe myself more of a hack when it comes to my musical ability on the piano. And I know that Bill and others out there are probably very gifted on pianos and organs and other things like that. So I'm sharing it just as a celebration of the first day of spring, not to demonstrate my incredible competence in this area. That's my disclaimer right away. But I really do enjoy it. It's very soothing. I did it when I was in college, oftentimes away by myself in music rooms. And yet, it was interesting, a number of those folks that were in that area were music majors, music professors, music parents. And as they came by my room, on a couple of occasions, they stopped and knocked on the door and said, I really like what you're doing. So who knows, maybe I do have some talent in this realm, but I certainly wouldn't raise it on a banner anywhere and say, hey, listen to me, and put out a cup so that people could drop money in it, because I probably would get a lot of change. But nonetheless, we sometimes do things because they bring us enjoyment, not necessarily because we can make $1 million doing them, or not even because people will stand and give us a standing ovation. It's simply a pleasure. And this style of music that I play on the piano, which I've been doing for decades, I call it spiritual impressionism. It's not synonymous with any song that's ever been written. It's just music. I would hardly compare myself in the ranks of a George Winston, if any of you are familiar with him. But I really idolized him a lot when I was in school and listened to him while I was studying. And maybe that's kind of how I picked up this flavor. But again, I haven't played in a long time, so don't expect anything miraculous. But hopefully you'll at least enjoy it. And again, it gives you another dimension of who Scott is, along with the mechanics of enjoying working on, obviously, vintage sewing machines, cars. I also enjoy the pleasures of music, both vocal, piano, and other instruments as well. And I'm going to kind of move away from the sewing machine, since you see those a lot. And I'm going to show you another beautiful piece on top of my piano. And I do have it plugged in right now. And interestingly, it is wired to run on European voltage, so it's wired to run on 220. And this obviously we set up at Christmas time. We haven't taken it down yet. Quite honestly, I'm reluctant to take it down because it's such a spectacular piece. One of the things on the bucket list, when we lived in Europe, we lived in central Germany, Hanau, Germany, around southeast of Frankfurt, if that gives you kind of a general neck of the woods. And one of the things that we had heard about, and they were sometimes hard to find, were these hand-carved Lichtenbogens. And Lichtenbogen in Germany is basically translated light bow. And it's got that bow shape, and it's identical on both sides. So either way you face this, you're going to get the same beautiful image of the manger scene. And it's all lit up. I don't even think this room is lit up with daylight right now, so you can't even see how spectacular they did in lining up all of these incredible bulbs, tiny little German wattage bulbs, to really showcase the beauty of this Lichtenbogen. So that was one of the things on the bucket list. A number of other things we picked up as well. Nothing extremely outrageous, but just to remind us of, number one, the warmth of the German people, the beauty of the country that we were privileged to live in for those 3 years, and just all the wonderful relationships and friends that we made over there. It was kind of an interesting paradox, because as we arrived in Germany, I should say as I arrived in Germany, because I had to go first and secure housing for us so that my wife could come over and join me there. And as I was in the country, I had to spend a week in something called Head Start. And any of you that have been in the military and traveled to other countries may be familiar with that program of Head Start. And what it's intended to do is to sensitize you and educate you as to the culture that you're going to be living in, so that you can be less ignorant as to the customs and the traditions of the people of that country that you are living in, and that they are kind of hosting you and being there. So we spent a week in Head Start when I first arrived in Germany, and I had to do it again when I went to Saudi Arabia. But it was interesting, the perception of that proctor that was in the room, that the instructor that was teaching us about the culture, many, many valuable things that this individual shared. But he also shared a bias of his, and that was, he said, be prepared that the German people can sometimes be a bit cold, a little bit standoffish, and may not be open right away to forging a friendship with you. Well, I guess I was in a magical kingdom of Erlensee, which is another small town near Hanau where we made our first home, and also spent some time out in Mittelbuchen as well, Germany, because I found the Germans to be unbelievably gracious, warm, kind, inviting, generous, exactly 180 degrees opposite of what this gentleman, with all well intentions, probably told us when we first arrived in country. So if you have the privilege to travel to other places in the world, never judge a book by its cover, or what books you've read about that area, or what people have told you about that area. Go in like a blank slate and open your heart up to those individuals wherever you are, and you'll be amazed what you discover. And you're also going to be probably not horribly amazed, maybe a little tickled with what I share now. Again, this being the first day of spring, I thought I would share another passion point of mine, and that is sitting down and playing the piano in my living room. So I'm going to leave the camera on this Lichtenbogen, which you see a lot of sewing machines obviously on this channel. I wanted to share something else with you as you enjoyed a little bit of my style of music that I call spiritual impressionism. Well, happy spring. All right. I know none of you said, was that really Scott playing? Was that really, honestly, seriously? Was that actually him playing? Because that didn't sound half bad. I mean, it didn't sound half good either, but okay, I'll play just a little bit more so you can actually see me playing the keys. And then you know it's actually me, okay? Happy spring.